Hello, friends. Welcome back to Beyond the Deal, where we get real about business, entrepreneurship, and commercial real estate. I'm Lacey Labs, here with my co-host, Laura Martin. In this episode, we're joined by Lukas Krause, president of SVN International. Lukas comes from a franchising background and has grown several large corporations into becoming the top company in their market. He shares his background as a professional baseball player and the lessons he learned from that experience that have shaped how he leads people and organizations. In this episode, you'll hear about his perspective on what it takes to be successful in CRE, how AI is impacting the commercial real estate world, and the advice he would give to new and growth-oriented brokerages looking to accelerate in the industry. Lukas Krause, welcome to Beyond the Deal. It's great to have you with us this morning.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. Let's just kick off by hearing a little bit about your story, your personal experiences in life, kind of how you came into business and real estate, and just tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, yeah, we could fill this with a few hours of boring stories. But no, I have somewhat of an eclectic set of kind of experiences that have brought me here today. Born and raised in the Chicago area, product of two teachers, and really have kind of, I think that shaped my passion for kind of teaching and helping others. And, through my career, I've done a little time in, financial services, some project manager work in telecom, a brief career detour after a couple of years in to play professional baseball, which is a much longer story. And then ultimately got into this crazy world called franchising. And that's where I think I really found my home because it was really helping entrepreneurs who, have aspirations of having their own business, launching it, and really support them to make their dreams possible. And it was really good, had the good fortune of working with a company that was growing rather fast and was able to wear a lot of different hats. That was the capital group that owned Quiznos. And so it was like a MBA in franchising because I covered every piece of it. And from there, I had stumbled into the real estate world in the property management space in the long term. And so that's where I think I'd say saw the real estate application because I don't think there's anything particular that pulls me into it specifically, but I found that this really resonates because to me, it's more about helping people and solving problems. And real estate is just a great place for that to happen. And so you get a chance to be able to help individuals in different places, but we also help business owners, those individuals who are out there. And the beauty of our model at SVN, we are a franchise business, so there are business owners, but every advisor in our system is like their own business owner too. And so it's, the beauty of that is you get to help a lot of folks who have, aspirations to build their own business, but they get a chance to help shape their communities because as commercial real estate is such a huge part. So I could drone on for another probably 20 minutes of going through the last 15 years, but had the good fortune over the last, couple stops to be able to help two different companies, become the largest in their space. And I hate to say it's really simple because everyone always talks about strategy. You find the wildly important and you invest heavily in that and you get great people around you. You do those things, most things fall into place.
Yeah.
Make it sound easy. All right. Before we move on, though, I want to hear a little bit more, if you're willing, about this baseball thing. I didn't know this. So wait, what position did you play? What teams did you play for? What was that experience like?
Well, it's much longer in the making. I was a very strong baseball player, but I probably didn't have the physical attributes. I realized I was a first baseman in high school and really good, but I was undersized. And I grew in college, actually, almost 4 inches and gained 30 pounds. So it was a completely, different person by then. So I ended up walking on at Indiana University as a senior, never saw the field, then got cut, after, the fall season of that senior year. So I never really played. When I graduated, I kind of looked at the market and evaluated what was going on. Like I had friends who had gotten signed and people I saw, and it was pitchers. I hadn't really been a pitcher before. And so I reinvented myself as a pitcher and I moonlighted while working full time. I'd work a 10, 12-hour day. And then every night I religiously would work out. I'd run, I'd throw against a brick wall that had a strike zone spray depending on it because I couldn't find someone to catch me. But there was no excuse. It was all about every day just getting a little better. And so there was kind of a 2-year journey after graduating while working. And then I ultimately got signed by the New York Mets and had a very short season and a half with them and managed through some injuries pretty quick because I was in great shape for a workout, but not the rigors of the day in, day out. So it was very quickly in my first couple of weeks in spring training, I was already hurt.
That's cool, though. Cool
Yeah,
story.
really neat to be able to say you played for the Mets. You can always say that now. That's really neat.
But you can see your work ethic. You know, I was telling these guys before we got on that I knew you from speaking at SVN conferences because you were on like an advisory board. I don't know what they called that, but
Board of directors.
Yeah, and the board of directors. And but then when I heard you speak in Chicago in 24 in the summer for the managing directors, I could just see your passion and how you just dove deep into topics and figured them out and found solutions and answers. And it was impressive to come into a different world, real estate, but you know, to learn our side of it could be a challenge. I think you've mastered.
It is, but to me, it's again going back to the problem solving. Just really enjoy solving complex problems, and then there are applications from others. And I've been in long-term property management. I've been over association management. We've been over short-term rentals. I've had kind of the lease side when real estate rolled up underneath me in somewhat of the Quiznos days, and so I've touched all aspects of it. But at brokerage, what's fun about that is the lane is very wide in the problems you have to solve because our clients' needs are so broad. And so it's really about equipping individuals that have to go out there and be experts not only in their specialty but in their market and really deliver value. And that's, I think, where SVN's carved out a great space. And so, hopefully I can model the same passion that our folks have for becoming an expert in their domain so that we can take care of our clients.
I think you show up with passion. That would be my take. Having met you a few times, which is good. Yeah.
So what part of SVN's kind of mission either has kind of pulled you in to SVN or that you're kind of adding and growing and pressing into is kind of standing out to you as like, this is the direction we're headed. This is where I'm excited about what SVN's potential is and what we're doing. Share us your thoughts.
Well, above and beyond, I'll say the mission, what really brought me here today was simple as the people. I was on the board of directors and I had a chance to speak at a conference and tell that story of my reinvention in playing professional baseball. And I got to spend a couple of days with the amazing people of SVN. And it was a different culture. And that's, the reason I'm here today, getting to spend time and see how remarkable this group is. But as you ask about the mission, what really resonates with me is just this collaborative nature that makes everyone kind of opted in to this culture because they bought into that concept. And it just resonates with me because we have a chance to really do something special, not only take care of our communities and as a lot of change, but it's also our industry. And hopefully we can help shepherd our industry through this as we look forward because it's ripe with a lot of change. The technology will change things, but it doesn't change the client's needs. And so how do we hopefully shape the industry for the better is really where want us to be focusing our time and energy. And that's exciting to me because I think we have a great chance to do that and hopefully really expand our influence positively, as a group who collaborates and really puts the client first. So I take that, I say responsibility very seriously, and hopefully we can expand that.
Yeah, wonderful. You said you pulled into the culture. I think when I started working for the company, that was the same way that I felt. It was just, I didn't really know commercial real estate at all, but I had worked in kind of political circles before, and some of those just places where you see big decisions being made and kind of big players and lots of money. And it's like what happens in those rooms and how people interact. It really says a lot about who they are and who a company is and who an organization is. And, real estate's a huge industry. There's a lot of land in the United States and around the world and a lot of opportunity for beautiful things or tougher things to happen with it. And so there's a lot of responsibility as agents to be part of those processes for communities and how that impacts people's lives. And seeing that SVN does that in a way that's collaborative and about what's best for their client, I've seen that over and again, like how often SVN will choose to do the best thing for the client. And yeah, it's really encouraging and inspiring to see that.
Mm-hmm.
So from your perspective and your experience with franchising, what makes the SVN model different today compared to other commercial real estate companies that are out there in the market?
Well, we have a few things that make us unique. Obviously, that franchise model lends itself to us to be, frankly, much better equipped to support our clients at the local level because we have offices in markets that, maybe the larger publicly traded competitors don't. So we have more offices across the country than anyone else, and have that presence is really important because real estate is truly local. I think the other parts of this is we are a public benefit corporation, which is an important designation that not only is tied to our mission, but we live it every day about benefiting our communities and really investing and pouring into them. And I think the last layer of this, as you look at it, is this employee-owned component. We just did that recently. Credit to our founder, Mark Van Ness. Is at a place of considering where this transition had built this business over 38 years ago, and his goal is how do we make the next 38 better than the first 38? And there's always opportunities for individuals at this phase to exit, and they could go down the path of selling to a private equity firm or different groups. But what's made SVN special is that longer term lens and not looking at it from a short term. And so an employee owned company is a 50-year strategy. And so we're able to look at what is right, not only in the near term, but in the long term for the health without any, I'll say, external pressures of, being a publicly traded company and what's the share price. And so that allows us to just have, I hate to say, complete air cover to really run the business for what is right, just to obviously honor our mission, our public benefit corporation designation, and really take care of our clients. And so it's a lot of fun. It's just kind of a complete alignment with our strategy and our mission that hopefully will allow us to really do even more special things as it relates to our kind of supporting our communities as the future comes.
Yeah, that was an exciting announcement earlier this year, for sure. Because most of the other major companies that are out there are owned by REITs, and I mean, there's nobody else that's got the same ownership structure, I don't think, as SVN.
No. So it is a unique thing, and it allows us to really look at it from a much longer term lens.
Yeah. In our area, I mean, there's only really 4 offices per se, owners in Pennsylvania. Pittsburgh, Three Rivers, Ahia in Philly, and Imperial in Allentown, and then us in the Harrisburg, Lancaster market. But a lot of people haven't heard of SVN, so it's always interesting to educate them and just kind of bring branding, self-awareness to how large the company is and the footprint of where it goes. Because people are used to the bigger names, but I always remind people with a lot of the statistics that corporates put together of how well SVN does fare against them, going head to head in the market.
Yeah, SVN, top 10, I mean, consistently a top 10 as it looks at market share from transaction. The folks in front of us, typically, whether it's 5 or 6 of them are usually these large publicly traded behemoths. But that's what's really interesting if you look at the space. If you look at us and the rest of the top 10, that's still just a small percentage of the market. It is still rather fragmented because it is still very much local. And so obviously we have a lot of growth opportunity to continue here and hopefully, raise our awareness of the brand. And hopefully, with our collaboration and kind of approach, we continue to grow through that. I mean, it's amazing how many different brokers work with SVN office and are familiar with SVN because of our approach. And people naturally gravitate to that. And so I think that's obviously the beauty is we're not looking at this from a short side of like we have to represent the buyer and the seller. We're there to take care of the client and optimize that. And so by collaborating, if you're in real estate, SVN, right? And that's, I think, what's really important.
Yeah. When I was looking to join a bigger group, I went out to the conference, and what I left with and what resonated with me was how collaborative it was, and how they didn't view other realtors as like competition, but that you can help each other and get a better price for your client or a better deal. And that's what I walked away with. And I probably talked to 30 people when I was out there. And not, to me, one of the big issues when I was considering joining was, be a total change of signage and stuff, which I was fine with, a name, but the whole fee, the whole franchise fee, I was like, but not one person mentioned that. And I left knowing, well, I was going to join, which is, I guess, almost 8 years ago, I think. Goes quick.
Well, it's interesting. That's what you experience is really common as people coming into it. And what we have found is when people plug into the SVN system, they grow. And it's because they're able to tap into additional training, resources, support, and then a network and deal flow. And then I say the credibility of being a top 10 brand and be able to participate in other, I'll say, opportunities that you may not be afforded to by being not affiliated with a national brand. And so it's funny you say that, because on the front end, that's always the common theme. When we're going through renewals and you're talking to existing offices, it's been a compelling ROI. So that's usually not what comes up in those discussions.
Right. Yeah. It was a small hurdle. It was funny because one of the guys in my office at the time, when I came back and I told him I was joining, he's like, "You drank the Kool-Aid." I'm like, "I did." So, and I've chosen to, I think I've attended everything that they've ever offered in person. The COVID changed some things, but the managing director, every meeting, every conference, because it is about the people. You're right. And all the connections that you make across the country, and having a resource to reach out to when you have a question or a client need. And it's an amazing group of people.
But isn't that our business, right? As you think about it, it is a people business.
Yes.
I mean, we transact real estate, but we're taking care of clients, and there's only so much we can do, even with our local expertise. And having the backing of a group and having partners across the country just allows you to tap in that other expertise to really take care of the client.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's been a good experience for us.
So just to shift gears a little bit here, as the leader of SVN International and looking at an entire nation's worth of offices, what are you seeing as some of the major trends in commercial real estate right now across the country? And are there any things that you think like a lot of professionals in our industry are underestimating in the market right now? And just maybe some things that you see coming in the future?
We've got a lot of dynamics. I mean, if you think about what's been going on, there's not been a cycle like this. You remove all the politics, but where there's been just so much uncertainty and announcements and driving change. I think you've seen some apprehension from certain clients and segments to say, okay, let me see where the dust settles. How does it relate to tariffs, or where are interest rates heading? You also have this really big macro trend because commercial real estate has been just dominated from all aspects by the boomer generation. The boomer generation kind of founded this in a lot of ways, not only on the brokerage side of it, but also from the ownership. And so you're going to have this massive transition of wealth down generationally, and this massive transition of clients as different parts of the, I'll say, ecosystem age out. So we're managing, I think, a lot of that and uncertainty as you change through. Then you have, as you bring in younger generations, there's different values, and there's a comfort with technology, and you can't trip over anything without hearing the word AI, right? And it's like, oh, well, how's that? And I think that is going to play a huge role in our future and all of us. But I also feel like we're in the very early stages of the applications of this. So I think in a lot of ways it's overvalued and undervalued at the same time, because I don't think it's crystal clear of how it's going to change our day to day. And there's a lot of fear of replacement at kind of at entry level jobs and things along those lines, which if really makes people make more effective, that's great, but you're still seeing that the tools aren't quite there yet, and people's ability to use them are not there yet. And so you'll have a lot of, whether it's hallucinations through AI or just general errors happening. And so the way we're viewing this strategically is, let's start with the upskilling our whole system. And so we're investing in different training programs to let people to really understand, engage, not only understand how to use the tools, but understand the limitations. And that's really where I think it starts. The applications of this are going to be, great, and we can't even chart out where they're going to be. But I think it's important that we just have a fluency within our system as a foundation for us to really drive forward.
You bringing up AI is like very on point. Everyone's talking about it. That's super interesting because I think I agree. You're right. As a slightly younger person, I use AI a good bit in my day-to-day. Marketing in particular is a place where a lot of AI can be very helpful. And it is fascinating. I think AI has really become a very public thing since I started this job. It really came into play like in the later part of the first year I started this job. And I've noticed that now, today, it's really noticeable what people who jumped in and really learned it already, or is like in that front edge of learning it as it progresses, and who is just starting to dip their toes in. Because the outputs that they're generating as people who are either more expertise in it or less expertise is really different. And you notice it in the marketplace from a marketing perspective. You really see those differences. So it's really fascinating because I think you're hitting the nail on the head with saying like the tools aren't quite there, and then how we use them is like a critical piece. And so learning how to do that and just embracing that technology has this big of a role now in the world.
Yeah.
But exactly what that looks like is still to play out.
Our area is getting a ton of AI warehouses, massive. One of them just bought a 600-acre farm near here, and they're restarting 3 Mile Island. Microsoft needs the power. So the power and the water, I leave that to the municipalities. But boy, I hear they're noisy. So that's kind of my one,
big data center.
Yeah. They're drawn to all our
obviously
farmland.
that changes needs for different real estate. I mean, that's some of the evolution, and I won't say what people haven't thought through, right? Those applications. When we shifted during COVID, and I say Amazon's explosion, the pull and demand on warehouse space, right, and industrial. Because we, instead of going to storefronts now, there's a premium on distribution centers. And so now you're seeing this shift, right, as AI, and you can see the investment there. Obviously, land and some of these larger footprints, greater demand.
Getting swallowed up, yeah.
I'd say energy on top of it is a big piece.
And you can see around here, I don't know if you've noticed it, but they're upgrading power all over the place with these huge poles and... So you kind of know what's happening where.
The infrastructure's getting trying to catch up. It's interesting to see how that part will play out, the actual use of the land.
Yeah.
With this, with the AI component in place, how do you see the role of the broker and brokerage office kind of shifting over the next 5, 10, 20 years as this stuff takes effect? Not that any of us can actually see into the future, but what do you see kind of coming in the pipeline there, Lucas?
Well, I think first and foremost, it's as we kind of started with, it's understanding the tool and really using it. It's like any tool, and I think those who embrace it are really going to be effective. They're going to be able to scale more, and so whatever profession you're in, I feel like getting fluent understanding is a really important piece because it's here and it's going to be even more prevalent, and it's only getting better every day. I think back to the premium of those who can use it will thrive, but also those who can continue to connect with their client. And right, this is more of augmenting your skill set, just as tapping into the SVN system and be able to use AI. Hopefully, you can do better serve your client, to provide better information, to have better access to information, to allow you to better serve. And that's where I believe we need to be on the leading edge of that. I'd love for us to help shape that future because it's still a people business. That doesn't mean that AI won't be additive and helpful, but I think it'll allow us to hopefully help our clients get better information and make better decisions. So I still think there's that premium on relationship. And as you've seen with, it still requires, even today, and I still think in the future, that I don't call it institutional knowledge, but that understanding of like, okay, this data is good, this is how it applies here, and really curate it locally to understand what true counts. Because if you use it today and you go into, say, a chat and GPT, you can get information. It will fill it in. But if you don't look at it through, I'll say, a discriminative lens, you won't be able to say, oh, is that good or not? And you'll be doing your client a disservice. So it is really interesting. I'll say it's the human intervention in working as a partner with AI is going to be critical. But it will make us more efficient, and there will be paradigm shifting kind of things. It is remarkable. I'll use it as I have I have agents working for me, basically running reports and getting data, and the pace allows me to actually, I'd say, digest and process a lot more. So to me, it's continuing to find those applications, and hopefully it's more about automating, I don't call it the lower value activities, but the low touch elements, and then even put that greater importance on the client. So it's a lot of, I say, directional elements, but nothing tangible as you think about, because it is. I mean, I hate to say I feel like this is 1998, 1999, the web really taking off and websites, and you had companies, if they had a website, they were getting great valuations. It wasn't that the web wasn't wildly valuable, but people's thoughts and applications of that were all over the map. Some people were right, a lot of people were wrong.
Yeah, Y2K, the world was coming to an end.
Yeah.
Your computer was going to crash.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of layers to that. The AI thing is, you're right. There's still a need for an expert to input things into AI. AI is not, they are great at information gathering, but not necessarily always the best at deciding what is most valuable, because they don't know your client the way you do. They don't know your market the way you do. So your expert input actually allows AI to produce a better product when you give them the information you have that they can't get.
Yeah.
So
it's supposed to be this general knowledge base of everything, but it still requires that local curation. And so this is where it's going to evolve and shift. Software as a service is going to be somewhat antiquated, because you'll be able to build, and those who know how to use it will build their own software for their own bespoke functionality and needs to take care of what they need to do for the business and to take care of their clients. So again, that's where I hate to say that foundation piece is a fluency and an understanding of using that tools, because we're going to be building, in a lot of cases, our own software.
Yeah.
I try to get in it every day and do something, and I am amazed what it can do. It's I just try all kinds of different things, just trying to hone in on how it'll best serve me.
That's the key.
The business.
I mean, I hate to say tinkering and playing around,
yeah.
It's like learning a language where you have to jump in. It's the same thing. You have to immerse yourself.
Yeah, and they say if you pay for a program, it actually starts to learn you and what how you talk and what you like. So it's been kind of fun just to mess around, and it has been more helpful than I expected in my initial discovery. Mm-hmm. So.
Well, and it learns you, but it also is designed to want to make you happy too. And so you have to make sure that it's not trying to placate you.
Yeah.
Right.
You want to be critical and challenge you also.
Yeah. The one strange part about it, though, sometimes you see things online and it's like you don't know if it's real or not.
Yeah.
Some things seem so real, but they
Yep.
You can be sucked in and be totally incorrect. So I don't know. Yeah. There's good and bad about everything, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So looking at the whole network, something that we love internally, it's always been fun in our office, is kind of tracking who's doing well internally inside of SVN, right? Like looking at those monthly reports. I know Laura looks most of the time to see who's ranked where and who's thriving in the company, both as companies and as individual agents. What have you seen been some of the commonalities or most distinguishing qualities of the successful agents who are showing up and hitting that top 100 top 10, top 50 lists on a monthly, yearly basis?
I think it all comes down to a growth mindset. It's those who continue are looking to get better and improve. I think there are folks who, in our business can be wildly successful, and it's really easy to get, I don't say complacent, but what's underneath it and what motivates them is not just the monetary component of it. They want to get better. They want to, grow their knowledge base. They want to be able to take care of their clients, and it creates this virtuous cycle of self-improvement. And so I think that growth mindset and that undercurrent is really important, because it's also a very demanding sales job that you have to be this expert in. And so you're developing your knowledge base, but you're always kind of cultivating and harvesting new clients. And so you have to have that grit. And so that's why I say if it's those who if I could draw kind of a common thread, it is that kind of growth mindset around it, and really coupled with that humility. Because what happens is they're wanting to learn. They know that they don't know everything, but they're willing to bring in others and experts, and that's again where the connective component. So I would put that growth mindset and that humility is usually kind of the nice 1-2 punch that drives a lot of success in our system.
What do you see as some of the traits that define the growth mindset in terms of what that looks like? Like if an agent's like sitting, listening to this going, well, am I in a growth mindset? How would you help them kind of work through, am I doing this well or am I not?
But if they're already asking that question, you already have the right mindset, right, of asking. It is. I'm laughing when I share a story because it taught me, the baseball thing changed everything for me, because it would realize like how much time was put on like practicing your craft, and games were a small portion of it. And I had worked in the business world and everything was work, work, work. And then I took this little, I'll say 2-year window, and it just kind of flipped things in my mind. I'm like, why wouldn't we be more intentional in our skill development to grow? And that changed my career trajectory kind of for the better. And so that was like that aha moment when I humbly re-entered the workforce after I was retired from professional baseball. And I realized how little I knew. And that changed everything when I was able to see like, the opportunities to learn and get better, and that I can take knowledge away from every person, every situation. And if you can do that and just get a little better every day, the aggregate of that is powerful. And so that's kind of my personal journey around it. But it is. Are you a person who's looking at this going, what can I learn? What can I pick up out of this situation? If you are, you're probably more likely looking, kind of have a growth mentality. If you think you know everything, you might have more of a fixed mindset. Or if you think, hey, it's just pass or fail, like if I don't know it, it's a failure. Well, or is it learn and get better? Like that's kind of, those are kind of the undercurrents and the way I view it.
So being teachable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lifelong learner.
Yeah. Yep. Being willing to shift the way you do things and change your mindset towards things. Yeah. It takes a lot sometimes. You get stuck in your way of doing it, right? But
yeah. Well, we're pain avoidance creatures in general as humans, right?
Yeah.
And change is tough. Being uncomfortable and learning something is really hard sometimes, because you're like, I kind of like feeling like I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And so you have to almost embrace the uncomfortableness of that. And that can be hard.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. It actually takes more energy sometimes to do something that's not like we want to just get through our day, right? Everything just on automation, knock it all out, be really efficient. Change actually requires us to put energy, like mental energy, into shifting a pattern of something we've done a one way for a long time. And that just takes something different, like a different kind of tired at the end of the day when you're trying to do that work, because it just takes a mind consciousness effort that when you have a system that's running and flowing, you're not changing it. It's not the same. It's not the same task.
It is. Anyone who's ever shifted a job and started new, even if it's like you know what you're doing, come through, there's that learning curve. And if you can think back and remember those first few days, first few weeks, you just come home and you collapse.
Yeah.
Right? You're exhausted.
Yeah.
True.
Because exactly what you're saying. You have to create new neural pathways, and it's fun if you look at it from the right way. Again, it's framing it like, I'm getting better, I'm improving. Then you can really kind of continue to, I'd say, harvest that energy to continue to go. But if you're like, hey, I don't want to learn, same path.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're gonna end up in the same place.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. I love that. Well, I have a couple questions to wrap us up here. First one is, if you were advising a new office or trying to grow one, which you probably do in your day-to-day, what pieces of guidance would you give them to help them accelerate to success? What are some of the key things that you say in those situations, or the repeated themes that come up in that kind of conversation?
I think at the core, it's having a clear identity of who your office is. Now, obviously, the SVN has its culture, but every office has its own. And that's kind of the image of the leader, the owner of that business. And so I think having clarity of who you are and the kind of, people that you want to bring in your office and that are going to work well is really important, because we always say, hey, grow, expand. But not all growth is created equal. It's having those right people who fit the culture and are really going to be additive are important. And so I think that's, I'm always cautious saying, yes, it is great to add and grow, but it's add with the right people. Because in the long run, that'll pay dividends. It's really easy maybe to take a shortcut, but you're going to pay a dear price, and it will sidetrack. The other, as we think about it is, it's really look where those needs are and understand the market. Where are the underserved segments? There's a lot of opportunities, it depends on your market, where there's not great representation as it looks from kind of the brokerage side. And so stepping back, and where can you hopefully add value where there are underserved segments, and really develop that. In some places, it's industrial is underrepresented, multifamily. It's just knowing your market and looking at where that is really kind of an important piece. And then I hate to say it at the end of it is when I'm talking, it's like, what are you trying to build? Why are you doing this? And as an owner, I think it's also having that clear sense of identity and what you're trying to accomplish. Some people have a brokerage and they want to continue to produce, and that's great. Some want to build a business and just be able to help that next generation and have a place to grow. So that's why I say going back to not only the identity, but what you want to accomplish, and really get everything pushing in that same direction. That will drive everything else. All the other tactical components layering on get a lot easier when you have that kind of clarity.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for that. Yeah, that's great. It all goes back to those core values and purposes that we have, right? Always. Yeah. All right, Lukas, we have a closer question. We ask every guest on the podcast this same one, and I'm looking forward to your answer. I think it's going to be a good one here. So if you could go back and start your career over again, right? Go back to the beginning. But when you start over, you get to keep all the knowledge and experiences that you've had. You get to keep the baseball experience, right? What is something that you would do differently, and why?
This is so challenging, one, because you added the key component. Because I think we're all here because of the journey and all the steps. So I think looking at that, it's so hard to isolate, because I feel like the best way to learn is making these mistakes too. So I don't know if I'd fully grasp it other than maybe textbook understanding it. There's not a lot to change. Even as I look at some of the things, I'm like, oh, I would not do that again. I'm just better for it. And so it's like I have a hard time letting go. Mm-hmm. You can hear it and feel it. Like
that's not bad.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
No, but it's like I'm better for the mistakes.
Yeah.
I mean, going through, I have so many situations of jumping in turnarounds that were all consuming, and they probably took years off my life. Some of these situations, leading a business travel company in relocation services when COVID hits
Oh,
with several hundred employees. Like, those things shape you.
yeah.
And so, geez, I'm going to be your worst answer because
No,
to me,
that's
I am
not right.
better, stronger, smarter, maybe a lot older chronologically because of it.
Yeah.
But I just take, those were just such gifts.
Yeah.
The only one I would, because I think the baseball thing would be more viable, I would have been a lot more strategic on my journey. This pitching thing would have started a lot earlier. I would have set myself up and like been more intentional. Because I think I might have had a better chance. But to me, on the business side, it's hard to let go of that because all the experience, and I know you said you can keep it, makes you who you are.
Yeah.
And scars and knowledge and wisdom all together. I just don't know if I'd be the great poster child of holding on to that without it. So sorry, I am the worst answer. I'm probably your worst answer on that.
No, it's great. We've had a few people say they wouldn't change anything. And I think there's some amount of like, I don't know, there's something beautiful about that answer because it's saying like, I would take all the good with all the hard and just, that's life. Like that's the reality of life. And yeah. Have you always been someone who felt that way? Like you would say, I just embrace the journey fully, or was there some point in your life that you would say you shift to really being like, I appreciate the hard things too and wouldn't change the mistakes?
Yeah, I think it was the baseball thing that really, because there was so much failure around it. And I looked at it and there was this chasing piece of like, this aspirational. It was my dream from when I was a little child. And so I was riddled with failure, chasing this dream. And afterwards, like having that level of success, there was a at-peace component when I ultimately got cut, through being just injured and everything, that I had done everything I could. And I could step back and see the magic of pouring your whole heart into everything. And I came out of it different. And it's almost was this rebirth that I think it changed me when I re-entered the workforce. And I hate to say it changed my trajectory because I went back to an entry-level job because they're like, oh, you're a professional baseball player? Like, well, I had a career, I had internships, I had all this other, couple of years. But to me, it reshaped in like the journey and the gift that gave me. And yes, there were some experiences. Would I have loved those to be different and have played in the major leagues for 10 years and got those paychecks? Yes, I would have loved that. But it just changed this appreciation for the journey. So I think it was astute of you to pick that up and ask that question, because I went from an entry-level job to the CEO of an industry-leading company in less than 10 years after the baseball. And to me, that changed everything. And it was the process and loving the process and appreciating the missteps and seeing them as gifts of learning and get better. That's, I think, where it changed. I think before that, it was always chasing something rather than enjoying this growth mindset and try to get better and really try to achieve your potential and helping others do it.
Well, I think that's a gift.
Yeah.
That you have that perspective and attitude. Yeah.
So it sounds like more of an internal shift than anything that really like opened up the way that you even perceived what was possible. Yeah. Thanks so much for sharing, Lucas.
Yes.
And thanks so much for sharing so much of that. Your baseball story was really fun to hear. I enjoyed that a lot and won't be forgetting that anytime soon. That's definitely
Thank you for
a
your
neat
time.
Anecdote. But yeah,
appreciate having you on.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, great to see you both. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hopefully
Take care.
We get to do it again sometime soon.
Thank you.
That's it for today's conversation with Lukas Krause from SVN International. I hope you felt as inspired listening as we did talking with him. You'll find all the links to connect with him and with us at SVN Lattice in the show notes. Thanks for hanging out with us on Beyond the Deal. Until next time, keep going, keep growing, and keep building your story.